Hi guys, welcome to my channel and to my Back to Beauty No Buy year. This year I am concentrating on using my makeup and not buying any. Today's video is the third episode of my series called Panning for Dummies. Of course, I'm not calling you a dummy. It's just a play on words coming from the For Dummies book. Today's episode is all about setting goals for your project pans. So there are lots and lots of different ways to set goals for your projects. And this is just going to be kind of a brief overview. Of course, if you are a seasoned panner, I'd love to have your thoughts down in the comments so that we can all benefit from your experience. So let's go ahead and get into it. First and foremost, when thinking about goals for your project pans, I think it's really important to think about what your overall goal for panning is, whether it be for that year or just in general. And there are a few different types of goals when thinking about overall for your project pans. The first would be to make progress or visible progress on as many products as you can. Some people pan just for the effort of using their makeup, touching everything, and making progress and or visible progress on their products. The second type of overall goal might be to hit pan or have specific usage overall on your products. Maybe you want to see how many products that you can hit pan on in 1 year or 6 months or 5 years. It's all dependent on you and your personal goals for your projects. And then the other type of goal that you might have overall would be to finish as many products as you can in a certain length of time. For me, I tend to set overall goals a year at a time, and this year I am striving to hit pan on as many products as I can. And then the last goal that you might have overall might be some combination of the ones that I've already mentioned. Maybe you want to hit pan on as many things as possible, but you also want to use every single thing in your collection and have some type of visible progress on your products. So hopefully this helps you when thinking about setting goals for your projects. You might want to first consider what your goal is overall. And this, like I said, is a very personal thing as well as dependent upon your stash. If you have a very small stash, you might just want to make progress on everything in your stash. Or if you have a very large stash, you might want to make visible progress on as many things as you can, or like me, I would like to hit pan on as many things as I can this year. So now that we have our overall goals in mind, let's go ahead and dive into setting goals for your individual projects. So again, very similar to our overall goals, there's a few different types of goals that I keep in mind when setting goals for my projects. The first one, like I said, would be progress, whether that's visible progress or maybe you just want to use a product a specific number of times. The next type of goal would be to use a specific amount of product. Now this is going to vary based on the type of product it is, but one way would be to make a goal for a specific measurement. If I was panning this Physicians Formula, the Healthy Foundation, which was a stupid decision, you know, I might say I want to make it down to the writing. I might say I want to get down to the halfway point, and I would put some kind of a measurement on here in terms of a goal. Like I might mark the halfway point, and when I get down to that point, I've met my goal. Or I might say I want to finish this and just mark the progress. Another way that you might want to use a specific amount is by weighing the product. This is not something that I personally do, but it is something that I see a lot of YouTubers doing, and it is very interesting in terms of products that you can't necessarily see the progress on. When you weigh it out, then you have an actual concrete number in terms of the ounces or grams or whatever that you have used. So that can be really helpful, specifically, like I said, in products where you can't see the progress. For example, Shark Tape. I have yet to see any windows in this, and one way that I could measure my progress on this, it would be if I could weigh it. You would have a starting weight, and then each update you would weigh it again, and you'd be able to, like I said, in hard concrete numbers, see your progress. And then another way that you could set a goal in terms of using a specific amount would be according to the packaging. For example, I have this NYX HD finishing powder. I'm not currently panning this product, but I will be soon. And one thing that you might be able to see is that there are different sets of rings in this pan. So one way you might set a goal for this would be, you know, if it was brand new, I want to expose the first set of rings. Or for me, I'm not quite fully exposed the second set of rings. So that might be a goal that I would make. The next way you might make a goal in terms of your individual products would be a very specific goal to a very specific product. Now again, this could be to hit pan using this powder again. My first goal might be to hit pan. Or if I already have a good amount of pan and I seem to be working on this side more than another side, my goal for the next update might be to hit side pan, and that means to expose the pan all on one side. That would be a goal that you could set for yourself. Or another example is my Wet n Wild Mega Glow highlighter. This has an embossing on it. Hopefully you can see, yeah. So this has an embossing on it, and some people will set a goal just to wear away the embossing on a powder product. So another thing to take into consideration when setting goals is that we already have our overall panning goals, let's say for the year of 2019. But another thing to take in consideration when setting goals is what your end goal will be, like your goal for the very end of the project, as well as setting smaller goals from update to update. Let's say I have introduced my project and my very first goal would be to wear away the embossing on the product. So then at the next update, assuming that I reached that goal, my next goal for the next update might be to hit pan on the product, and so on and so forth. So keep in mind what your end game will be for each individual project, as well as each individual product, as well as what your goals might be for each update. Now, we did talk about this a little bit in the first and second episode. I will always have the playlist linked in the description box below, but there are some things that you want to take in consideration before you set goals for your projects and your products. So the first thing that I like to take into consideration is, how long is this project? Is it 3 months? Is it 6 months? Is it 1 year? Is it 1 month? What is the length of the project? So for shorter projects, I like to set goals to make progress. And like I said, there are various ways that you can set goals of this type. You can set a goal to make visible progress, whether that's a dip in an eyeshadow, whatever the product is. For a shorter project, which I consider 1 to 6 months, I like to set goals for visible progress, or to use a specific amount. Again, going back to the foundation, if it's a short project, I might take this brand new foundation and say I would like to get down to the name, which is the Healthy Foundation, or I might mark this in terms of, you know, a quarter of the product and say that I want to use up a quarter of this product during the project. Say that 3 times fast. But when making goals about using a specific amount, the things you want to take into consideration is the amount of product left. So if I'm doing a 3-month project and I'm right here, which is exactly where I am in this foundation, taking into consideration the amount of product left as well as how much I use on a daily basis, which is very little. I like a very light coverage foundation. It wouldn't be a good goal for me to say that I want to finish it. If you want to know why, watch my Grey's Anatomy previous update where I made a huge boo-boo in thinking that I could finish this up in 2 months. I'm not perfect. This is not an exact science. This is trial and error, and this is learning by experience. So, like I said, when making a goal to use a specific amount, take into consideration the amount of product left as well as your daily usage habits. If you only use powder once in a while, it might not be a great idea for a 3 or 6 month project to set a goal to use up a brand new powder. And when talking about longer projects, there are a few other things to take in consideration in addition to the ones I already mentioned for shorter projects. And that is, again, your overall panning goals. If your overall panning goal is to hit pan on as many things as possible, then put things in that project that you can hit pan on and set the goal to hit pan or make visible progress or whatever your overall goals for panning are. And then in addition to that, if you're doing multiple projects, you're going to want to take into consideration what products you already have in other projects. And this is based on categories. Let's say I already have 2 blushes in other projects. I'm probably not going to want to put a 3rd blush into a project and then make the goal to finish it or hit pan, because we only have 2 cheeks and most of us only apply makeup once a day. So keeping in mind the products that you have in other projects based on the category and your makeup usage and your overall goals and the amount of product left. So hopefully that makes sense. There's things to take in consideration for shorter projects as well as additional things to take into consideration for longer projects. Good grief. And then one other tip in terms of longer projects, if you do end up duplicating categories within your various projects, again, you do have 2 or 3 blushes in projects, consider making smaller goals, like making visible progress on all of them, or if they're all long projects, consider making smaller goals like just hitting pan on, you know, each blush or what have you. So hopefully this all makes sense. I could barely keep straight project, product, and all of that. But as you can see, it can be a little bit tricky when setting goals for your projects. Overall, setting goals is very personal, and I'd love to hear down in the comments if you have any additional suggestions for setting goals for projects. And on that note, I hope all of your days are absolutely beautiful makeup days, and I will see you in my next video soon.